All right, welcome back to another edition of the Horseman Pro Football Talk podcast. I am Brad.
And I'm Efe.
All right, Vikings at Lions. All right, you were caught in the Mad Dan hype, aren't you?
Oh yeah, and hey, I'm not the only ones. FanDuel Sportsbooks opened the Lions as a 1.5-point favorite against the Vikings, the 10-2 Vikings.
Wow, I didn't know
That
that.
is not a joke, my friends.
Dude, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, we talk about this every week this season, and I wasn't sure wasn't sure Mad Dan was it, but damn, they're getting better. I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know if this is just like a feel good thing, and we can all feel good watching them, win a couple games towards the end of the season, not to mention an ass whipping every once in a while, or if this is the legitimate foundation of a contender, which also, if you understand the Lions' history and you have a little bit of compassion in your bone, makes you feel good, because I'd like to see the Lions win a fucking Super Bowl just because it's the Lions.
That would be pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I'd totally jump on that bandwagon. This game is dangerous for the Vikings, because by all rights, in a normal conversation, the Vikings should win this game. Right? The Vikings should win this division. The Packers are down. The Vikings are confident. They're good. They got a great record. But dude, these Lions are dangerous, and this could be a huge upset in the beginning. I wouldn't even say beginning. We'll give last week as the first step. We'll give this one as the second step towards permanent change in Detroit.
I just hope it's a good game, right? All this hype that we've put behind the Lions, and obviously the Vikings are a powerhouse team. So this is another one of those games I'm super excited to watch, because the Lions, they've had a couple down games on offense this year, but for the most of the year, they've been one of the best offenses in the league, and you love to see it. Especially, you have a whole staff. We talk about Dan Campbell all the time. This is an entire staff of former players. And they're getting these guys to believe in what the message is, especially after firing a coach. Like, I feel like I've talked about that every week. It's just so crazy how good that defense has been since firing one assistant coach. And I think that's going to be able to translate into this game against the Vikings. I don't think, I feel like I've already seen people saying that the Vikings are going to stomp the Lions this week. And I just don't know if that's going to be the case coming in. I think this is going to be a great game. I think the Lions could have the lead for a portion of this game. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if they won. It's kind of crazy that they open as 1.5-point favorites against the Vikings. But either way, I think this team, the Lions, are on an upward trajectory. And I hope they're able to make the playoffs this year. I would love to see them make the playoffs. They're not too far out of it. Honestly, if you look at the way the NFC is, the NFC very top heavy. The Lions could get there. So just like you were saying, I'd like that they're on the upward trajectory. Seems like Dan Campbell probably, I think you would agree, is going to be safe after this year. I think Dan Campbell has coached his way into staying next year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Anybody in their right mind would take another year to see what he can do with the way things are going right now. Yeah, especially after last week. I mean, come on.
I mean, straight embarrass the Jaguars. Like, there's a guy on the Pat McAfee show, diehard Lions fan, Evan Foxy. He said that was the most stress-free Lions game he's ever watched in his life.
No, that's funny. That's really funny.
That's what I thought. Because I mean, beginning to end, they absolutely dominated that game. And coming in here against the Vikings again, I think this is going to be a great game. But then you look at the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, the Vikings, what they normally do in close games is they lose them. They are 9-0 in one-score games in 2022. And that kind of stuff, that's big, man. That means when things get serious and you have to have it, these guys are pulling it together and executing and making the plays, and they have the guys to do it. Kirk Cousins is making the throws this year. Justin Jefferson has established himself as the best wide receiver in the world at this point. So I think the Vikings come in, are able to win this game against the Lions. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions won, but I do expect by the end of it, the Vikings will probably be 2 or 3 point favorites. I think the Lions will keep it close and within one score.
So I don't know. I mean, by all rights, Kirk Cousins and Jefferson right now are just scorching hot and confident. The Lions still trying to find their identity. They know they got a good team, and the weird stuff happens with teams like these too, right? The Lions just, like you said, dominated the Jags. They could either come out and have that same mentality, or it can be that weird waiting for the other shoe to drop, and when something goes wrong, they're just waiting for it to not be good anymore, which is that infectious losing mentality that gets into a program that is so dangerous. And I don't know what to expect here. When we talked about this a couple weeks ago, we'll see what Mad Dan's capable of. I mean, he's kept their spirits high and kept them fighting. Now that they're high, can he keep them tempered but still high? You know, keep them motivated but still humble to come in. This is a very good Vikings team with a lot of ramifications. But I don't think I can't take, in good conscience, I cannot take the Lions in this game, which sucks because I'd like the Vikings to win the Super Bowl this year. I think Minnesota fans deserve it. So would I love to see a Detroit upset in this game? Certainly. But would I love to see the Vikings dominate this game? Certainly. So I've got that weird, I want everybody to win this weekend thing going with this game. But I want to look ahead a little bit, because the Lions aren't, you mentioned this earlier, they're not out of this picture, right? So the Lions are 9th spot, Seahawks 7-5, Giants 7-4-1. That tie game can come into play here. So they got the Commanders 7-5, Lions are 5-7, Packers are 5-8. So when we look ahead at their schedule, the Lions got the Jets. After what we saw last week, the Lions can beat the Jets. They've got the Panthers. They've got the Bears, and they got the Packers. The Lions could potentially win 3 or 4 games out of the next 5 games. Completely changes the playoff picture if that happens, because some of those teams are involved. And they've had this conversation in the locker room. So this is good shit, man. This is where you potentially see a program emerge out of the shadows and set themselves up for the next couple years. I can't wait to watch this game.
Yeah, you're talking about setting up for the next couple of years. You think about the Lions, they have the Rams first round pick this year, or in the 2023 draft, and the Rams don't have any of their best players other than Jalen Ramsey on the field at this point. So, I mean, they're going to have probably a top 5 pick in this upcoming draft and be able to get one of whichever there are like 6 quarterbacks going to go in the first round, and they can basically have their pick there.
Well, and I'd also like to point out with what Mad Dan has done is he has built a foundational armory. This isn't a team of big names and guys that flash. This is solid fucking winning, man. And you take a couple really good free agents and a couple really good draft picks and sprinkle them in here, this shit gets real interesting real quick. I really like what this guy's doing. I'm really excited to watch. It could nosedive on us in any moment, but I'm just telling Lions fans, I'm on board. I'm rooting with you. I want to see this happen.
Absolutely. And then whoever the GM is there, and like the last 2 drafts for the Lions, they found a couple of really good guys on both offense and defense. So they've done a good job drafting. So at this point, I trust them too. Starting to be able to trust the coaches to get it done. If you can trust the front office, and we can see the Lions go in a completely different direction for the next 50 years.
Can you imagine the Lions winning the division next year? That'd be crazy. I wonder what the odds are for the Lions to win the division next year. That'd be a bet.
I don't know.
That's a bet. That's a bet worth looking into right there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I will do as such if I'm ever able to make bets in Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. But we won't. Let's talk about that when the cameras are off.
And I would love to know what you think about this game, what you think is going to happen, who you think is going to win. You let me know down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you for the next video.